Hi all.
Hi, Robbie.
Hey, it's fine. We have, is that connected?
Hello all. How are you?
Good. We were having issues with Teams, but it seems that this is working now.
I just saw, right. I'm so sorry.
Okay, just
Very sure. Brandon.
let's just.
We just got a couple stories in last night too.
Okay, yeah, that's why I'm just, yeah. I'll have a lot of fun this weekend while she's trying to save. Oh,
Thank you.
Yeah.
just
That will make things a little easier.
Yeah, be like.
There we go. There we go.
I believe so.
Wonderful.
I do believe so.
Can I open?
Is this the only place that you use that?
What do you mean? Is it out?
This isn't.
No, I mean, it's
We grabbed as much as that is. Figure out what's the most.
Yeah, I like.
Did you see all of the CPR, like, I was like.
I'm not gonna.
I hear. I'm gonna.
Sorry, was there?
This will be the microphone.
Wait, I assume so.
It's always up to.
Robbie, can you hear us?
Get you.
Sorry, there's a lot of time right now.
Yeah, I can hear you guys just fine.
Okay, I'm gonna mute since a lot of us are talking at the same time. Hello, it's because we're muted. Can you hear us now?
You still call?
Yes, I can.
Perfect.
Hey,
Okay.
These in order. I'm sorry.
Excuse me?
Aaron.
Aaron. Sorry.
You're fine.
Aaron, are these in order?
They should be, but the agenda, you'll notice that 2603 is, they asked to be moved to the end because they're not able to get here. To be first, and so otherwise, we do try to keep everything in order.
Got you.
Otherwise, we're.
Oh, yeah. Or the agenda should be centralized. Yes, I did see that.
It's always uploaded online as well.
Okay. Well. Waiting for,
Right online.
all right. All right. I call this meeting to order at 3:05 p.m. Beginning with the roll call. Chairman Matheson is in attendance. Vice Chair Sullivan. Present. Parliamentarian Haley.
Present.
Committee Member Spangenberg. Here. Committee Member Cordon.
Here.
Committee Member, I'm so sorry. Committee Member Barnwell Carmen. And Committee Member Moreno.
Here.
Oh, and Faculty Advisor Zhu.
Here.
Righty, that I believe we're all in attendance. There is no agenda to approve or meeting minutes to approve. Oh, we do have a meeting.
That's the agenda.
Oh, sorry. We now move on to the current agenda for our committee members to look over and approve. Can I get a motion on the floor? Motion to approve. Can I get a second? Motion by Vice Chair Sullivan, seconded by Committee Member Spangenberg. All in favor, please raise your hand. For those of you online, please raise your hand again.
Nick, Alex, what is your vote?
I sent it in chat. I voted yes.
Well,
Okay.
I'll watch the chat.
Okay, we'll be moving on, but that is a clue. Moving on to reports. There is currently no reports from the chair, and I'll move on to reports from our advisors.
So my report for you all is to just update you on the supplemental funding budget. As we kind of talked during training, what we're really gonna try to do is to stay within our current year's revenue. So we have revenue that comes in based on the student fee of $283 per quarter. And that revenue is allowing us to fully fund all of the areas that the recommendation was for last year. So in previous years, we had to do reductions because we didn't have enough funding and there's all these things. So this year we're able to stay within our means. And what we had talked about during training was that that difference from what we think the fee revenue coming in is going to be between that and what we're allocating out was the 13,604. And then, as I had mentioned, we're gonna experience like salary savings throughout the year. So there will be a variety of things. So what I went through all of our budgets to see where those open positions were so that we could sweep that funding back and then reallocate it out in the form of supplemental. I was able to identify, $78,862.50 so far of salary savings. And part of that is, I believe I told you all, I did accept another position on campus, and this will be my last year working on the committee. And so part of that is that, my position is now split funded, half and half, so half of my salary or that salary for that position will be rolling back every year, or every month. So that includes October, so next year we'll have another month and as we go, so we'll be accumulating more as people leave a position, and then for every month that position is open, then those funds will come back to the committee. So this number is not static, it will continue to change. But for a opening supplemental budget, you all, for the year, keep in mind, this is for the year, $92,466.50 is what your current budget is. And I don't think I had anything else to add. Do you have any questions about that
Extension.
for the meeting? Oh, yes. And the other part is that, because of the amount of new business and that this is your all's first real meeting, we want to make sure that everybody has time. We're gonna, I would recommend that you all vote to extend the meeting by an hour so that we can get through that. So that will put us at ending at 5 or maybe sooner. And yeah.
I move to approve our extension target.
Seconded. Motion by parliamentarian Haley and seconded by Vice Chair Sullivan. If there's no discussion. All in favor, please raise your hand.
Nick and Alex online, we're voting for extending the meeting. Alex, okay.
That's one. All right.
Nick, I can't see you. I can get to him.
Yeah, for clarification, would it be easier, or are we allowed to just say I instead? So
Yeah.
Just start saying that.
I think that it, yeah, I think you guys can vote in that regard. I think that that's really up to you all. I just have to get to the part where I can see all the people, and I can watch those,
I feel like it'd be easier.
Yeah.
The same audio.
It'd be easier for them.
Yeah, so for you guys online, if you wanna just say aye, then that's okay too.
Or
And
nay, if you don't.
Did you guys finish voting?
I've seen Cordone voted, so I haven't seen the mix yet, but that passes regardless. Well, moving on. There is currently no communications received. We will be moving on to the first call of public comment. There will be a second call after all of our new business. So if you have something you'd like to share now in public comment, please feel free.
I would recommend going up to the microphone up here so that way our guests online can hear.
Well, before we get into new business, I will just say, I want to thank all of you for showing up here today. I think it's going to be a very good year for the S&A committee and our various S&A funded areas. However, the only thing I would like to ask, this is our first meeting. A lot of us are new to the systems of Robert's rules. So a level of grace is incredibly appreciated.
Thank you.
All right. If there is no more public comment, we will be moving on to new business item 2604, the Pulse reallocating supplemental funds.
should be open.
We're gonna mess it up. I did bring a couple of examples of polls in case you're not familiar with our application. And I also have a couple of handouts as there is a numerical error in our presentation. This will help guide you as well as the itemized budgets for our events. Please pass this on.
And there are folks that are online. Were these the ones that you sent that a couple days ago?
Yes.
So that is going to be over here and over here. It's in Edge because it didn't want to open in PDF.
Oh.
And this is the presentation.
Great.
That's fine. Yeah, I just opening it. Thank you.
Okay, Keaton, then you wanna man this picture?
Great. And go ahead and start. My name is Tyler Bills. I'm the co-editor-in-chief of Pulse Magazine.
And I'm King Wires. I'm the other co-editor-in-chief for Pulse Magazine.
And if you don't know about us, Pulse is the entertainment and lifestyle magazine of Central Washington University. We are by the students and for the students. And so some of you can see in front of you that we have our issues, and these are traditionally published once per quarter. We also have a corresponding class, which is common for course 6. So Pulse attracts EIC's editors, writers, photographers, and designers, which come from a variety of majors. Keaton and I ourselves are film majors. We also work with design majors and journalism and creative writing majors. So we are a paid staff of 4, 13 unpaid. Currently, as of the end of October, we have given up our hours so that we can save some money. We are a much smaller staff than others, such as the University of Kentucky, 70% smaller university, and we are operating with less staff to create the same product. We print 1,000 copies per quarter, rarely have any left over, and if there are any left over, they last forever. You should be able to pick up any magazine and the story should relate to you any day. Great. As you can see here, Pulse has been awarded in many different categories. From here we have 2020 through 2025, and even on our website there are many prior, but we'd like to talk about some of our more recent, our 6th place and 5th place showings, where at the Spring National Conference we won 6th place best in show for Feature Magazine. And then we also won 5th place best in show at the October National Conference for Feature Magazine. And these are both magazines produced within the same year.
So taking a look at the past, previously we were receiving pretty consistent funding from S&A, minor dips here and there until recently. There's been a dramatic shift in the amount. And then the gray line underneath represents our ad sales and revenue, which have been pretty consistent. There's a slight dip due to the post-COVID era where there was just a little bit less. And since we are a magazine and we print our issues quarterly, there's just like less opportunities for us to print ads as compared to like our sister partner, The Observer. And unfortunately for our fall issue that we're going to be requesting for, we were unable to get ads because we couldn't promise that we would even be able to print. So advertisers were not going to commit to something that they didn't know was going to happen.
Great. So later you'll find out that similar to The Observer, as minimum wage and printing costs have gone up, we have actually decreased the number of hours our students are getting paid. And currently we have sacrificed hours that we are not getting paid as of the beginning of November. But yes, we have decided to cut as many costs as we can in hopes to print and save.
So going into our request is, oh yeah, go ahead.
Because this is where the error occurs. For our first request relating to request 2604, that is our request to redistribute supplemental funds that were approved in spring. These are funds that will not be taken out of the current supplemental budget as they were approved last fiscal year. That total amount that was requested was just under 7,000. It says 2958 redistributed on the screen. That is a mathematical error that I will get to on the next slide. It's actually less than that. And then we will dive into our second request after a period of questions for our fall printing issue. For the redistribution, you'll see this handy dandy table in front of you. It's the same one that's on your handout. Where the error occurs is that the difference between 1A and 2A, this difference between the columns of those rows was summed up in its entirety. What should have happened was that the difference in column A and column B were added together without adding column 3 because of the degrees of freedom. You'll see the equations down on the handout here. Unfortunately, for those on Zoom, I did not have a chance to digitize this, but if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. For what we actually want to redistribute is 1479. Again, this is money that was already approved. We're just asking to redistribute 1479 into our deficit coverage so we can begin to cover that 4460 that you see on the slide. And as you can see in the table, the remaining funds were used for the Media Fest conference that our staff attended in October, as well as just under $1,000 for October salaries, which again, our staff was great and voluntarily took pay cuts. I should point out, not in hourly, but just in the amount of hours worked per week. And we hope to cover the remaining deficit with ad revenue, as we have been successful with that in the past. However, as previously mentioned, we cannot cover that with ad revenue if we cannot print, which will bring us to our second request, but we would like to pause now for a series of questions as this is our first request.
Yes, I do have a question. I just can't remember the appropriate.
Can I move in?
Yes.
In this regard, it's, we've just been asking questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's kind of a free time down.
Phenomenal. I do have a question.
Mhm.
Two actually.
Mhm.
One, where did the deficit come from?
So the deficit came from last year. I took a period of absence last year, and in that 2 months, unfortunately, our budgets were not forecasted correctly, and the second time we printed was not accounted for in those budgets.
And the other question. No, never mind. Please continue.
Does anyone else have any other questions? Yes.
It might be on here. I'm seeing it. Is there a rough estimate of what the ad revenue is projected to be if you do get that revenue?
Yeah, so could you back up, Tyler? Keep going. One more. So our ad revenue consistently has been under $5,000. That's only because we print 3 issues per year. And according to our rate card, we do offer packages, which are multi-thousands of dollars, but rarely do those get purchased. And if they are purchased, that ad revenue is split with Observer as it appears in both publications. Oftentimes, I would say that we get between maybe $2,000 to $3,000 a year for advertising.
Am I reading this graph wrong, or is that saying that you guys are used to getting a lot more? That's
You are correct. To the last quadrennial cycle, we were getting close to 20,000.
What happened between last year and this year that resulted in this being the allocation?
The committee voted to not fund us in our entirety. They voted to fund us $2,000 this year.
So I hear what that's.
I would add to that. I think that part of it was moving it to an on-budget, fully digital platform was one of the reasons that the committee decided to make that cut. And the other piece is that the hours that were being worked for the Pulse were required by a course.
Okay.
So based on the presentations, the committee determined that the hours that were being required by the course were also hours that were being paid by S&A.
So do you mind if I piggyback off of that?
No, I was just making sure.
Right.
So that was what the committee decided last time.
Okay.
So that was true. It was a requirement at the time. We have since removed the requirement so that paid positions are no longer required to enroll in the course.
Okay.
These students are being paid for hours past their course credit hours, as Observer will cover in their presentation. Oftentimes, hours upon hours go into the dedication of this publication, and credit hours, if you have 3 credit hours and you can enroll in the class from 3 to 6. If you enroll in 3, you spend 9 hours of classwork, including class, per week. These students work a lot more than that. So that's why we continuously ask for salaries, as we feel that their work is warranted. Jen, I know you're online. If you would like to say anything more as to why the magazine is not fully digital.
Well, I think, it's a really different conversation when you talk about moving to digital for a newspaper versus a magazine. A lifestyle magazine, as the students were saying, the articles are meant to be evergreen, meaning that you can pick up a copy of Pulse at the dentist's office, or if you find it at the bottom of the newsstand anywhere on campus, you can pick up a copy that's a year old and still find stories that are interesting to you. And a big part of the appeal of Pulse and what it continues to earn national awards for, including just last month, we placed second nationally for cover design, are our designs. So we really, and the students can talk more about this, but we conceive of stories for Pulse visually first. So we don't go out and report a story if we can't figure out how it's going to look on page. And, that just doesn't translate as well online. A news story, yeah, but a magazine story, not so much. Maybe the students want to add to that.
Well, kind of going off of that too, I wasn't able to attend this last conference, but Tyler went, and I was told by them that our work of our recent magazine was actually being shown as exemplary work in a presentation put on by other schools. So other schools are noticing the work that we're doing and think that it's valuable as well.
If there are no more questions.
I guess to kind of simplify the question of why did this happen last year? It was because of the connection to course material that has since been removed.
Sounds like,
So,
yeah.
that's simplified it all.
Yes, students can still enroll in the course, but it's not required. All right. And moving on to our second request. Take it away, guys.
Great. So yeah, our request to print. As we said, we normally print 1,000 copies. This time we're reducing it to a 60-page issue as opposed to our 80-page issue that we would normally print. Still same dimensions, 8.5 by 10, such as the examples you have. We print with Avis printing, and so we're requesting 4,280, which is how much it would cost, versus the usual 5,892 for the 80-page version. So we're saving 1612 by printing this way.
Yeah. And so traditionally, we have been a cornerstone on our campus and among some of the top publications of college universities in the US. We give students a voice. So a lot of these stories are sourced from students on campus and what they like and what they want to read. We represent all students at CWU, and we were actually the first ever to win a CWU Diversity Award. And importantly, our community supports us. Hundreds of people last S&A back in spring, they came and expressed that Pulse isn't a necessity for CWU.
And so this is a quote from Gary Lundgren, who's Associate Director of the Associated Collegiate Press. In the world of collegiate student media, Pulse magazine has put Central Washington University on the map. And so that's a big deal coming from a person of that status and talking about our magazine, and they're noticing the work that we're doing. And so I'm pretty sure they would also notice if Pulse were to flatline. Thank you.
You guys?
I guess just to kind of, I'm not in the collegiate newspaper world. How big of a deal is the associate pretty depressing, just as everybody will feel.
To put it in perspective, almost all the universities that compete are at least double our size. And it's from when we were in Long Beach, a lot of local schools go to that, but it's also schools from Michigan, which like the University of Michigan, University of Kentucky, a lot of these schools are like highly recognized, and we're able to stand up there and compete with them.
And the ACP itself is just the collegiate version of the Associated Press. So they'll often have people that are involved in the Associated Press that come and give presentations and speak on that stuff. And so this is just the way for colleges nationally to come and compete in that realm.
But I'm happy to approve. So theater admin.
Oh, this one, yes.
I have one. Go ahead. I guess my last question, in the purely hypothetical, if Pulse was not to get this funding, what would you do? What would happen?
We wouldn't be able to print. So we always have an online issue that accompanies the print version. We would only be able to do that if anyone would want to continue submitting for awards at these conferences, which this has happened in the past too, because we haven't had enough budget, but students would pay out of pocket if they think they have award-worthy material and want to submit it.
And to add on to, we would miss out on those award opportunities. The best of shows tend to be an in-conference an award. So these universities that come and show up, they are competing on the spot. We also, besides having our magazine online, having the print version helps us get more students involved. So without it, people just don't know about this. And so it'd be much harder to kind of.
Can I add something real quick?
Yes.
Yeah, I was just going to say that when I came on as advisor for Pulse in 2011, it was basically an e-zine, and we reconfigured it to make it, the consumer sort of lifestyle magazine that you see today, with what are known as departments or sections of the magazine, kind of standardized. We brought in the graphic design students, and it was due to about, I think, 3 or 4 years of that workload that we were able to convince S&A that we should be funded to print. And so we didn't start as a print magazine, but what we found is that suddenly we had a much bigger place on the central campus, and we found that students, that weren't maybe flipping through our magazine online or looking at an e-zine or stories online, were suddenly picking up the magazine. So when we say that we print 1,000 copies and we have to safely guard about 5 of each issue in our office, or we run out. We're not joking about that. Like all of the 1,000 copies of that magazine get picked up around campus and around town. And so it's something that students really appreciate. And I'm told by students that graduate that they hang on to the copies that they, that they pick up during their time here. It kind of captures their lives on the central campus for the years that they're here.
I would like to add on to that add-on.
Yeah.
These publications, they help our students with their resumes. The fact that they're winning awards is another help with their resumes. So not only would it be detrimental to the students around campus to not have a hard copy of this magazine, the magazine itself would suffer, because if you go to a digital format, the students who are not being paid, the students who are not contributing to putting these designs, it would be pertaining just to the class. So one, it would not get around to campus and fulfill the necessity that it fills, but the work would be limited in the hours of the classroom at home.
I have a quick question. Last year during the Board of Trustees meeting, the Board of Trustees asked Pulse and Observer to work with College of Business to increase ad revenue. That was a suggestion to combine those efforts so that you all could earn more revenue for your budget. And I was wondering how that's going.
I can talk about that.
Yeah.
So we did do exactly that. We hired on last spring, and we used some of our donated funds because we didn't have enough from S&A. So we used some of our donated funds to help pay for, a couple of hours a week of salaries for 2 business students to jumpstart our advertising. And they did a fantastic job. The problem is that there's not a huge market for advertising. So people keep saying, oh, you guys should be self-sufficient. All you need is a good ad campaign. And yeah, you can get ads. We fully funded our Week of Welcome issue with ads. And so that was a time that, welcoming new students was a time that advertisers really saw a utility to advertising. So we have been pivoting. We've relaunched our newsletter from Observer, and we've started a second weekly newsletter that is for covering both all of student media, so covering Pulse and Observer. And we're actually placing ads already, national ads on those newsletters. So that's a new avenue for receiving some ad revenue. Observer tends to be more attractive to advertisers, I think, because it's weekly and it does get a lot more regularity of visits to the website because they're producing regular, daily news and weekly news. Pulse is a bit of a hard sell, and we really need, honestly, what we need is some funding to help us pay to send somebody out to do the advertising, because it's a big job and it's really hard for us to juggle on our own.
Thanks, Jen. I also, because Jen mentioned the Week of Welcome issue that you may have seen when you came back to campus this fall, was only 20 or 40 pages. I can't completely remember. We had over 10 advertisers who those business students helped us get. It paid over $3,000 of that printing cost. They worked tirelessly to get us $3,000.
Yeah, my question, regarding the advertising is, so my understanding, based on what y'all said earlier, is that y'all weren't able to secure advertising for this year because for this issue, the fall one. For the fall issue, okay. So you weren't able to secure advertising for the fall issue because you're not sure about the funding right now. Yes. Have y'all done any math about the projected difference between the amount of advertising revenue that you think you'll be able to pull in at present? Because it already sounds like you're pretty confident about your ability to pay off your debt.
I'll say there is interest. I have gotten people who want to advertise in Pulse, and I've had to turn them away because we don't know if they're print.
Okay, so there's you would say that there's a significant difference in the amount of advertising you're able to accomplish.
I would say from one vendor who has approached me alone about purchasing a package, I could take $1,000 of that as well.
Alrighty, well, I do believe we do have to keep going down.
Yeah.
But thank you for your time. I believe is Colson Observer in the same?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
How much time do you want to spend?
10 minutes.
I got it.
10 minutes. Aaron's got it.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to control it?
You got it. Yeah, sure. I'll stand up.
Sure. Alrighty, well, good to see some familiar faces in here. For some of you guys that don't know either of us, I'm Jackson Roberts, the co-editor-in-chief of The Observer, joined alongside our other co-editor-in-chief, Brandon Matisich. But without further ado, let's get underway with this presentation. So The Observer, we're a 110-year-old publication here on campus. So we've been here for such a long time, and throughout that time, we've maintained such a physical presence here on campus as well. We do our best to stay very close-knit and kind of tight with the community, not only just here in Ellensburg, but Central Washington as well. And with being that close to the community comes with being by the students and for the students. This is a motto that we take a lot of pride in. A lot of the news that we're reporting on heavily impacts these students or relates to the students. And sometimes the students are even more involved in this paper than you think, because sometimes they're tipping us off to certain stories that they want to cover, or they want us to cover as well, or they know the student body needs to read about as well. So we traditionally publish once per week. Comes out Thursdays. I'm usually out there distributing the paper around 9 to 11 a.m. We can pick that up on the blue stands around campus. And as for COM 444, this is the class period where Brandon and I teach the class. We spend each week or each of those class periods with class lesson plans, activities for engagement in the class, and we also spend a little bit of it as kind of a workplace environment. COM 444 has given myself and plenty others an opportunity to get an opportunity to feel what it's like to work with in tight deadlines. And so that's taught us a lot of valuable life lessons that's going to benefit all of our staff post Observer as well. And it's a big collaborative effort here at the Observer as well. Many different positions. We'll get into it in a little bit, but editors and chiefs, editors, reporters, designers, even got some people helping out on social media and such now too. So we really couldn't do it without any of our members here on the Observer.
Yeah, and I want to touch on what I think is the most essential aspect of why we're here, which is why we need S&A funding specifically. Obviously, we need funding in general just to exist, but there's a reason that we've traditionally, for the past couple of decades, been funded through S&A funds, and there's a reason that we're back here asking for more of it. It's because these are student fees. So when we say our motto is by the students for the students, when we get our funding from student fees, that allows us to report on issues that the students care about. That allows us to be completely student run with no oversight from campus administration or any other outlets that might potentially want to oversee what we're publishing or what we're running. I can speak to some recent stories. Like I've been writing a lot about the Cats Against Assault stuff lately. It's been in the news a lot. We've been trying to cover this in the best way we can. And those type of stories are stories that the students want to read about. They're the stories that we are here to cover. This is like the bread and butter of our paper is these type of campus local issues that are hard hitting and important to report on that we would not be able to do without fear of like censorship or oversight if we didn't get our funding from the S&A committee specifically. This is why we need the student fees because we are a student paper run by students. Any other funding route, we run a fear of censorship or oversight.
And a little bit of a similar look at the past of how the Observer has been funded, similar to Pulse Magazine as well. We see with that red line, we've been funded just short of $60,000 for the past few years, and then obviously the significant drop off last year. And then the gray line is our ad revenue as well. So ever since COVID, we took a big drop there too. From 2021 to 2023, we had a vacant position for who was bringing in ads for us. And then we saw 2024, it goes back up. And then obviously this last year, kind of similar to Pulse, advertisers are less likely to advertise if they aren't sure how often you are printing.
Yeah, and then this is what Pulse was talking about a little bit. We'll dive into. So minimum wage, obviously the past couple years has gone up, as have printing costs for us. And in response to that, we have already done what we believe is our part of this whole funding equation, which is taking significant cuts to not only our staffing size, but our paid hours as well. Jackson and I, as well as our entire paid staff, have personally taken pay cuts. We talked about it. We decided it was what's best to keep the paper afloat. We've also seen a great reduction in the actual size of our staff since COVID, especially pre-COVID, post-COVID. But basically, the memo of this slide is like, as it's gotten more expensive to run the paper, we recognize that. We're trying to do our part to lighten some of the burden off of you guys in terms of what we're requesting for funding. So just know what we're requesting is already greatly reduced hours and a greatly reduced staff size.
Yeah, despite that reduced class size and staff, we're still producing a very great paper that is getting recognized at national, regional, and best of show levels as well. We see best of show website, as well as newspaper design, newspaper news magazines. And I've just been really happy with the staff that we have here at the Observer who, despite these pay cuts and all that, they're facing adversity and still able to produce such a great paper here on campus that people are consistently picking up here at Central Washington University.
And so I want to talk a little bit about what actually goes into the publication so you guys have a better understanding of what you're funding here with this request. So we have these positions. I'll break it down for you. We have a lot of people who are not paid positions who just work similar to Pulse. But in terms of our actual paid positions, which is what we're requesting, we have Jackson and I right now are the co-editor-in-chiefs. We oversee weekly production. We edit, we write, we do all that kind of stuff, help with design, layout, a little bit of everything pretty much. Then we have our 3 lead editors. They report stories as well as edit every story that comes through the paper every single week. We do print every week, so it's a lot of weekly, constant, consistent work. We also have our lead designer and an assistant designer on payroll. When you're producing a weekly newspaper, these are the 2 people that are in there Monday and Tuesday night for hours and hours and hours, just designing every single page so we can hit that print deadline, get it shipped off Tuesday, get it brought to campus, and get it out on stands Thursday. But what I really want to emphasize here is the importance that these hours are paid and not volunteer. I personally believe, and I know Jackson would agree with this as well as our other staff, that the work that we're doing, I don't think you could request that people do it not paid. You couldn't request that they do it volunteer, not only because of the quantity of work, the amount of hours we put in, but because of the responsibility you take on with this type of job. Meeting these deadlines, but also reporting on these sensitive issues opens you up to criticism, not just from the public, from your peers, from campus administration. This is a very open-faced job. Your name is attached to every story you write. And when you're covering really sensitive topics like the Cats Against Assault allegations or attrition on campus, like stuff I've been covering lately, that does put your name out there. Your name is attached to these stories. And there's a level of responsibility there, not just to make sure that you're doing it right, but to take into consideration how the public will perceive those stories and how they will respond to you personally. So these responsibilities that you take on when you do this type of work is what I believe is pretty important to consider when you're thinking about, should this be a paid job or volunteer work? To me, it has to be a paid job. I think it's way too much to request any student to try and balance for, just a volunteer position.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also we're going to look at a breakdown of our working hours as well. So this isn't just our paid hours too. This is also the curricular hours that we're supposed to spend outside of class too, bringing us to the paid staff total hours of 92 a week. So we do a bulk of our time writing and interviewing, and then also designing. Those are the two main pieces that go into the Observer and printing a newspaper. 16.5% of our time goes into editing, and you can also kind of correlate fact checking into there as well. We take pride in presenting the news in the most accurate way as possible. And then also on-site coverage, we spend about 9% of our time doing that. We put a big emphasis on social media and website in the last year or two as well. So we spend a lot of time there, and then miscellaneous design night tasks that might be us kind of planning lesson plans for future class periods, other stuff that goes in the paper last minute, like Wildcat Word, horoscopes, and things of that nature. And that small orange sliver right there is for distribution, where I'm out passing around the paper to the newsstands. Usually about twice a week. I usually double check those stands to make sure they're filled as well.
And so this is where we're going to get into the actual numbers of our request here. It's kind of broken up into three parts. So I want to touch on first the bulk of the request, and what I think is the most important is the salaries. This is our paid staff. It's broken up by position. So we have the 2 EIC positions, our lead designer position, our 3 editors / reporters, and then the design position here. Or this is lead design, this is the assistant designer position. All of those positions you can see broken up by it's weekly hours. So I can guarantee you that pretty much everyone on that list far exceeds these paid hours. I know I personally do. Even just on the Monday, Tuesday nights we're in the office designing, not to even count like the going out and doing interviews and reporting. But these are the hours that pre-cut hours is what I was talking about earlier. We already all took pay cuts. So this is the pre-cut hours. This is what we're requesting for that. The total of all that is $9,592.80. So that is the bulk of the request comes from salaries. Keep it in mind also that slide of our normal budget. Normally we're funded by the S&A committee. We're going into this winter quarter with like no funding at all. So basically this is everything that we would need to keep us afloat besides what we have from ad revenue. Then we also have our printing costs. So this is already a greatly reduced printing cost in the sense that normally we print every Thursday, as Jackson just explained to you earlier. What we're requesting for winter quarter, in an effort to also reduce our total request and lighten the bird off you guys a little, is only every other week printing instead of weekly printing. So we would still be putting out stories every week. We as a staff would still be doing the same amount of work, but we're just requesting enough funding to print the actual physical paper every other week instead of every week. Keeping in mind this is only for winter quarter. And then that totals to $4,670. That's the second part of the request. The last part of the request comes down to our office printer. Our office is in Lynn. We have a big old printer in there. We're on contract for it, so this is kind of just a fee we have to pay. It's $582. If you add up the 3 highlighted portions, the 3 bulky parts of the request, our total request from the S&A committee is $14,846.
And the Observer and Pulse magazine just a month ago were finalists for a prestigious national award as well. This award being the Rebel 7 Courage in Student Journalism Award. This was for our activism on behalf of freedom of speech here at CWU, as well as looking to maintain our important role of campus student media here on Central Washington University. And this wasn't an award that just goes out to the people that have their names on this. So many people had their hand in on this on this award for us getting this or being finalists. And so, and not only just the people that pitched in for it, but also the sheer amount of support we received as well, just really showing how people really care about this paper and how this is a necessity here on Central Washington University, along with Pulse magazine.
I believe that is, yeah, okay, any questions? Yeah, whoever wants to go first.
This one right here.
I got two real quick.
Yeah.
What specifically about not receiving full funding would result in your censorship?
Okay, so not receiving full funding from the S&A committee would not result in us being censored per se. What our fear is that right now we pretty much don't have a working budget because last year's S&A committee approved us for like what, like $1,000? Yeah, $1,100 as our total budget. And if you, Jackson, if you want to go back to that graph, this is the one prior. Yeah, this is what we've been operating with for years and years. I mean, this only goes back to 2019. We've been funded by the S&A committee for a long time prior to that. This was last year's cut. So this is what we're working with right now, which is to say like pretty much nothing, right? So when we're making this request, it is a large number. I recognize that, but it is because we have pretty much no operating budget right now. So if you didn't fund the request in full, what would probably take the bullet would be print, and we would just be an online publication. I think we've agreed that paid hours are the most pressing thing that we need to get funded right now, just so that we can retain a staff and keep the paper like afloat at all.
Absolutely.
But yeah, in terms of like censorship, that comes from if we had to seek alternative funding routes instead of like if we tried to find funding through like the actual school itself instead of the S&A committee, or if we tried to find funding externally, those people, whoever we get our funding from, would then have oversight over the paper. That could lead to potential censorship.
Okay, excellent answer. A quick follow-up. The original funding that you did get for this year, sounds like it's all been allocated. What did that go towards?
I can answer that.
Yeah.
That went to their salaries.
Okay.
As well as printing the request that happened this quarter. You may remember the supplemental request that was approved in spring that I mentioned back in Pulse's first request. Part of that went to the Observer. And we used that all through October to give you guys kind of an idea where we're at with advertisers. We were able to, what is the word I'm looking for, supplement. We were able to supplement November's costs because we got so much advertisement in October, and that's just 1 month. I would like to point out with this graph, we used to get almost half of our allocated budget made up for in advertising. Like we had 40 grand of advertisement back in fiscal year 19. The pandemic hit, we didn't print. School was obviously adapting. And from the pandemic, we kind of made a little bit of an increase here. And then a lot of things happened, a lot of things prior to my time being here. I came on in fiscal year 2023, which I was able to dedicate some time to pushing for advertisers, which is why we have that increase. And it's also why we broke even in the last few years. That and in addition to supplemental funds that the S&A committee gave us. So even though this line is going down, we are projected to have $8,000 in ad revenue this year from this quarter last month alone. So that's why we've been able to continue to print in November. And why these guys have been able to continue to work in November. If we don't get enough funding for winter, we will not be able to do what we did this quarter.
Yeah.
Great. Yes, thank you. Well, first of all, I wanted to thank both the Pulse and the Observer for your tireless, endless work that you've put into these presentations and also to make sure that your program stay afloat. I appreciate that. My question is, so for the salaries, from what I understand, you only have 7 people working at the Observer right now that are being paid.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah.
Do you know of any like fluctuation with that? Do you think you're gonna expect any like extra staff members coming in or anything like that?
So we would love to have extra staff. The thing is that we are operating bare bones.
Yes.
And we can only do so with your blessing, essentially.
Yeah.
So this is cut hours. We are cutting hours even more next quarter because EIC is only going to get 15. Other EIC is only going to get 10 as opposed to 20 and 15. Our reporters will be down to 6 and our assistant designer will be down to 3 hours per week paid. I should also mention that this is outside of their course
Yeah.
credit hours.
Oh, yeah, if you were wondering if that distinction there, I'm not even in the class, so the separation is made, I just worked the job, okay, so yeah.
Some of us are in the class,
There's
some
no
of us
inflation anymore.
do the class in pay as well.
I was just going to add a historical note too, which is that the number of positions is down from the past. I mean, when we were receiving closer to 60,000 before that, before I was advisor, they were receiving closer to 100,000, I believe. And they had between 10 and 15 paid positions on staff. So we're really down low on the number of people that we can, incorporate into our leadership staff. I mean, we offer those roles to people that don't get paid, but it's, I think Brandon made a really good case that, it's not just the level of effort, but the responsibility that they're taking on, especially with the sensitive topics.
I want you guys to kind of take a look at this graph over here on the upper right. The annual average numbers of paid hours per week. We used to be close to 80, and now we've dipped down to 56. So that's a steady decline of about 13.5 hours per week that we have given up.
And is that because of the separation from the class?
No.
No,
That is
That's just-
strictly budget.
yeah, that was the cuts that we volunteered to
Yeah.
take just to allocate more money to the.
Yeah, we chatted with all of our staff to make sure everyone was okay with that. That's what we.
That was, I guess, we have 3 minutes left.
Mhm.
I have 2 questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
One, is this funding for salaries including spring, or is this just winter?
This is
Just winter.
Just winter.
Yes, we know.
Yes.
We know that it's a large portion of what is available. We recognize that.
Yeah.
We have tried our best to accommodate where we can and still survive.
Yeah.
We want to print every other week, not
Yeah.
every week. We want to decrease student salaries, student hours even more.
Mhm.
Like we are really trying. But we can't operate on $1,100, even just digitally.
Yeah.
Yeah, still, yeah.
Yeah.
I would posit this too, that we're a little different in Folsom in the sense that we could probably do okay online. So what's essential to us is the paid hours. If we can retain our staff, we can try and make it work. We do think print is very important to the observer. That's why it's included in our request. That's why we're still asking for every other week printing. But if you're looking at the budgets and you're like, what, the staff is what's important. That's the bulk of our request.
I would also like to point out, but I would also like to point out there is more advertising revenue that comes with Observer just from the simple fact they print
Yeah.
more
We
often.
get a lot of.
And we also can accommodate digital advertisement.
Last question.
I guess my last question, with the 9,000 in paid staff and the printing requests and everything, if you are able to operate at this level,
Mhm.
are you going to expect to go back to the previous level in the yearly cycle or the 4-year cycle? So if you're able to operate at a standard level with around $30,000, are you going to want to come back to 60,000, or are you going to try to stay at this level?
So for this year, we are not going to go overboard. But
Yeah.
as you know,
Yeah.
budget-based funding requests are due in December, and we will be asking for a increase in what we're proposing today. However, we're not expecting to go back to being funded $100,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head. I think it's closer to 40.
That's the question. All righty, well, thank you all so much. I believe we have, is that the last of our presentations up
From
here?
us, yeah.
From our side.
Right, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, awesome. Okay. Moving on, we will be going into. Okay, moving on, we will be going into new business 2607 KCWU supplement request.
Thank you.
Just for our sake, KCW stands for.
That's our call sign, which is the radio station.
Yeah, it's like so the FCC issues like call signs, and that's our radio station, which is also 88.1 The Berg,
Awesome.
informally.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, KCWU FM 88.1 The Berg. Hello, my name is Tommy Skaggs. I'm the general manager of 88.1 The Berg, and this is Elliot, the engineer, and he is in charge of overseeing all of the technology here. I'll be leading the presentation, and Elliot will be here to help answer any technical questions because our supplemental funding request is technical in nature. So this is in two parts. If you want to hit this space bar. With this, our request today is in two parts. The first is UPS battery life cycle replacement. It's going to make sure that we're uninterrupted broadcast broadcast operations. And then the second part is that FCC, which is the Federal Communications Commission. It's rule number 73.371 compliance test equipment. And this is going to enable us to do in-house transmitter spectral testing. And we'll go into each one of those. So go to the next slide. So the first project, it's replacing our UPS batteries. We have trip light units, which are it's like a really fancy surge protector that has a battery on the inside of them, and you're supposed to replace these every 3 years. We have several of ours are hitting up to the 5-year range because we're trying to extend the life as much as possible. This is like having these batteries prevents the loss of studio automation, our studio transmitter link, and it also protects our IT systems during power events. And we're hitting the season where there's a lot of power outages. We have some equipment that will call both of us at 2 in the morning when the power goes out, and one of us has to drive in at that time. So, and a lot of times these units are beeping and we have to address them as is. So having proper batteries gives us a longer lifespan before disaster can strike. This protects our equipment and student-created media assets, and it ensures uninterrupted EAS emergency alerts. We're part of the EAS system, so if there's ever a significant emergency event, this will allow us to transmit any messages on the 88.1 frequency. So this is this is a picture of what are the two units that we need. We have the small UPS units, and these are called the RBC62 IUs. We need 14 units of these, and that includes 2 spares. So we have 12 units that need replacing. Right now we have 0 spares. Like every single spare that we have has been deployed. We just did our last one where we had a studio failure. And we came in and replaced it, and we're back up and running now because we used our last spare. The second, we are requesting for 8 of the larger units, and that includes the 6 units that we have that would give us 2 spares. And then with the estimated tax, that would be $415, and the total cost for a replacement for all of the UPS batteries would be $5,031.28. Just yesterday, I was talking to my counterpart at Seattle University, KXSU. Her name is Natalie Melendez. And I was talking to her about this presentation day, and I was asking for UPS batteries. And they had a power event over the summer that wiped out all of the data on one of their computers. And they've been recovering this whole academic year. They've been struggling to get back up and running. And because of that, Seattle University, she asked for a similar request and had it funded because she said that it's really tedious. It's not fun. This is not fun money, but this is protective money. It's protecting our equipment because if we have something that hits a critical failure, that's going to be a bigger expense. We have we have a lot of really expensive gear at the radio station, and we also have student data, like student created data, shows, because any student from any major is welcome to be part of 88.1 The Berg, and we have over 70 students involved creating content with the radio station right now. So this is a really critical piece. It's, like I said, it's not a fun piece, but it's something that would really keep the station protected. Before we move on to the second part of the ask, I wanted to know if anybody wanted to discuss this part of the ask, or if it would be better to just go on to the second part.
Go ahead.
Go on to the next part? All right, flip it on to the second part. The second part is FCC compliance test equipment. One of the things about radio waves is you have to transmit within a certain frequency. So this blue line shows the area of where your frequency can be when you're sending data from your transmitter. And you can actually see our tower on the top of this building that we're in right now. So we have to make sure we're in a certain range before we start splattering into other people's radio stations. So a test has to be done whenever you make a change. And so one of the pieces that we've done is we have a Nautel VX1 transmitter. And this ensures that even during a power outage, we can stay online, which is awesome. But this has yet to have a compliance test that's required by 73.371. And so it's making sure that we're staying within our occupied bandwidth and we don't have those spurious emissions. In the past, we've paid $1,500 to bring in a technician to do these type of tests, and now it would probably even be more than that. So this is we can do this infinitely. Elliott has the capabilities and the certifications required by the FCC to do this type of testing. And it would be any electrical, what's the type of requirement for the person to conduct the test?
Well, I'm licensed with the state of Washington, got my fundamental engineering license. They don't say like, oh, you have to have this thing. They say, do you have the skills? Do you have the correct equipment? Are you performing the tests correctly? Are you, I mean, I have a sample one that I brought if anybody's interested in looking at the report. It kind of proves. Okay, so talks about like, okay, we'll go back. I think it's like a wired back. And so it talks about the types of equipment from the transmitter down. And then it talks about like what frequency you're at, and then there's some like fancy math involved, and they actually talk about the different emissions. You have to have a notch filter, that kind of stuff. So as long as you have the correct gear and you kind of prove it, this is what you.
We have about 3 minutes left, so we'll just kind of go through here. So, and this is also, we just passed our alternate broadcast inspection program, self-inspect. We had the ABIP people came in from the Washington Association of Broadcasters, and we passed our most recent one, and that was before we had the Nautel installed. And we also have compliance with our online public inspection file with the FCC. So this asked, next slide, specifically, this is the unit that we're requesting to purchase, the Rigol DSA 815 spectrum analyzer, and all of the parts that we would need to do this type of testing. So this whole equipment, this whole ask is for $1,800. Once again, we're looking at a minimum of $1,500 to bring out somebody once. This would allow us to do this as many times as we would want, so that we would be saving money the second time that we would do this ask. So just kind of a recap on the next screen. Our total ask is for $6,831 split between two different programs. Thank you. Yes.
As far as the where did the $1,500 per contract?
Yes.
Where does that money, when you guys have to make those appointments, where does that come from?
We have our base funding, or S&A base funding, and we also sell underwriting packages, which is similar to advertising. So it's a mix between our S&A funds and our self-support.
Okay, and how often without this do you guys need to have those tests done?
Anytime we make a change to our audio, like that affects the spectrum that we're putting out. And so the last time we did one was 2017. No, 2017. But then we just got a new transmitter. We put that in over the summer. I have some amateur gear, so I tested it with my gear to make sure that it was okay. But the gear that the FCC requires has to be calibratable, which is that $1,000 piece, in order to pass and like be official. So I know that we're fine and we're okay, but we haven't done the report. Yes.
If the FCC does not find able to bring compliant, what does that?
It's a fine.
Huge.
It's a big fine. Yeah.
How big of a fine?
Hundreds, probably.
So if we start overstepping, because the thing about spurious emissions, and we have this happen during our power outages, we could actually hear other stations on 88.1s, and so like if you start, you could, we actually had some test equipment. There was an issue on campus where they thought we were on another frequency, and we looked into it and we said it was their equipment, and yeah, it's huge. It would be huge penalties.
Well, I think we have 1 minute left, so.
I messed up.
Oh.
We're good.
Oh, we're good?
We're good. We have lots of time, because
Oh.
we're in the Q&A section.
Oh,
yeah. Yep.
Thank you. You are too. You guys are all doing it. Does anybody have any other questions?
Are there any expected emergency situations currently forecasted? You guys, this protective gear is like necessary in advance?
Like I said, we have 0 backup batteries right now. So if we have one power surge that would buy, I'm running a power strip in my office right now instead of a battery backup unit.
Same.
So I mean, we're like just like Seattle U, we're running pretty close to danger zone right now without those UPS batteries.
One of the things we usually do too is I'll go around and test them to make sure, because you can put them under a load, make them just run off a battery, and then it'll tell you whether or not the battery is going to fail. I haven't done that because of the age of the units, because doing that test would cause one that was about to fail to fail, and I don't have anything to replace it with.
Yes, it's like a button, like you could test, for these new ones, what we'll do is you put them in and then you test them when they're new and be like, you're good. But these ones that are old, you hit that button to test them and then they will fail. Yeah, good. Oh, yeah.
Hypothetically, if you were provided funding with, provide enough money for, let's say, like half of the units that you need, what would that look like in regards to the future of those units or your program?
Sure. I would probably hold on to a lot of them and not replace unless they failed completely. Caution would be that even a failed UPS battery, anything connected to it could potentially get damaged if the UPS battery fails itself, which is why you want to replace them at the 3-year mark. They're not dead yet. They're not gone. They're still good, but you put a new one in so that you don't ever have that happen. And the load, I'll take everything off, then I'll put a dummy load on there, something that it doesn't matter if it fails, then I'll test the unit, and then if it fails, nothing is broken. So.
Wow.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions or has any follow-up, feel free to message me, Tommy Skaggs or Elliot. So, all right, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Nice job.
Yeah, thank you. Is the representative for OUR present?
I believe she's attending online.
I'm here online. Hello.
Thank you. Hello.
Could you please let me know if you could hear me all right?
I can hear, yes.
No?
Yes, they are able to hear.
They are able to hear. Great.
open your presentation.
Would you rather have me share?
Oh, yes, that would be so
It would be easier
Thank
because then
you.
you don't have to navigate it for me.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Of course. Let's see if I could do this. Okay. Allow. All right. Great. Thank you. Thanks for this time. Thanks for arranging this, and also thank you so much for the committee for your continued support. I'm new to OUR as of this year. I'm the new director of OUR, and so this is my first time really looking into the budget and the impact of S&A funds and what it does to the OUR and source as a whole. So I would like to just go over a few things, what my office does and how S&A is part of that. Let's see if I can. Are you able to see this presentation? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thanks you. Awesome. A few things what the OUR does, 2 big things actually. So we are in charge of putting together the source, the Symposium of University Research and Creative Expression. It's one of the largest event that happens university-wide, covering all disciplines and all colleges. And it is on year 31 this year. So we have a big history. And it's the first time, I believe, from somebody, like me in music, is the director of it. And I think part of that is that it's unusual and quite unique, actually, to have a platform for all scholarly works by students and faculty involvement, including the hard sciences, College of Business, but also creative arts and expressions, and design and performance. So it is unique in that way, and I think I'm very proud of what we have done so far and what we can work towards. And so as I stepped into the office, I looked into different things. How many students are applying to present at Source by colleges? What year? How many students are actually taking advantage of opportunities funded and supported by OUR and Source? And it was pretty clear to me that a lot of students from the COM, College of Business, and Douglas Honors College had much lower rates of participation compared to other colleges for Source. And that's not unusual because a lot of times, a lot of, hard sciences have more it built into their, weekly curriculum to present and do research and things like this. But I am really working on awareness of the value of research in creative expressions and College of Business and Education and all that. And I think that strengthens our university and student involvement and experience as they're, continuing their academic life here and beyond. So another part of that, so Source is at the end of the academic year in spring, but it is at the end of a whole year journey of leading up to that large symposium. And a huge part of it is the OUR funding awards that we give throughout the year. Currently, they are funded by S&A base funds, Foundry 10, and the Provost Office. So S&A consists about a third of our entire award money, which we are very happy that we're able to do so. It is open for all undergrad students at Central. They're all eligible to apply. Any of the 4 types of grants that align with their research or creative activities. These grants can be used to cover expenses such as flying to conference, registrations, travel costs, research equipment, and supplies. Currently, the award cycle is only for fall and winter, and I'll go over that in a little bit. A little bit about the Source. S&A also funds Source, a professional development event that offers students a local conference experience, providing opportunities they might not otherwise have access to. Central is unique in that we offer this platform and promote students' research and expression for all disciplines and colleges. So College of Business, SEPS, COTS, and DHC. What we are requesting as a supplemental budget is that we currently only offer funding opportunities for fall and winter. Creating opportunities for students to apply during the spring term, and in addition to what we already do, will allow students, especially those from Business and Douglas Honors College, where we typically see lower rates in Source participation, to seek opportunities for their summer research and creative expressions. And by doing so, they will be more likely to present more in Source during spring term, which will be right before they have to travel to present their work over the summer. Our funding awards have been gaining more interest and reputation of support from across all disciplines. And as a result, it really has become a staple of student research and creative expression support across campus, while providing opportunities beyond our campus and central centers. We're only one of 33 universities in the entire country to have both Research College University and Opportunity College University recognition, which is a very big honor and recognition. So the Office of OUR is requesting a total of $7,000 supplemental funding, which will be distributed to give support to about approximately 9 to 10 students who are applying for these summer awards. Here are some breakdowns of what I have. Spring Cycle Awards for OUR Research and Creative Scholarship. Typically, we award up to $750 per application. And then OUR Experiential and Immersive Studies in the Arts also typically we offer up to $750 per application. This is sort of a breakdown of how the numbers have been increasing over the cycles. What you see here, 1259, is the one that we just completed, the fall cycle. In fact, all the award letters are going out today because we were able to finalize it. It was a total of 47 applicants. If you see last year, winter was 24. Last year, this time, there were only 14, and 31 and 33 in the previous years. So we are seeing steady growth of interest and amount of impact that we are able to give to our students. On the side here, I broke it down to colleges to show you sort of a data of where students from what colleges are applying and getting these opportunities to apply to their work. And right here we see this is the current at the bottom, 1259. From CA, there were 5, which was more than we've ever had, except for this one. Sorry. We have College of Business, 2, CEPS, 15, COTS, 25, DHC, 0. This I'm trying to show that it is, I think, we are gaining a little bit more interest from all disciplines, and I think part of that is on my office to make sure that they are represented and included in our design and way how we present source. But really, the big part of it is actual funding support. If students are able to do their research over the summer, if they work towards their research and creative expressions in winter and spring with the goal of being accepted to this very competitive, often summer programs, they will be more likely to have this professional experience on our campus before they head off to a lot of these very competitive research programs. So creating support these students will allow them to present at source during spring before they present their works at these competitive programs. I think for me, it's a first-hand experience because a lot of my students at the music work very hard. And when they get into all these competitive festivals over the summer, most of them are actually unable to attend because of the high cost of tuition, high cost of travel costs. So even when they are vetted and selected to go, which is a nationally competitive position, a lot of times they are unable to attend due to financial reasons. And I've heard this stories across the board in many different disciplines. So that's what I have. Do you have any questions? Yes?
You have 1 minute left.
I'm actually done. If you have any questions. Yes.
Now open it up to Lieutenant's discussion. Any questions?
Think out of this one because this is the kind of stuff that I'm doing.
Gotcha. Alrighty. Yaram, I wanted to know, so this 7,000 is for spring awards for these 9 to 10 students?
Yes, so all of these applications and conference registrations all actually happen in spring. So they have to apply normally, typically end of December. They will know if they got into these programs or not, typically by end of January or February, and they have to secure their positions by March, late March or early April, which is why if we open it up for spring cycles, they will be able to, with proof that they got into these programs, they will be able to use those funds to secure their positions for spring research and presentations.
If hypothetically you were to get half or maybe a little over other half of the requested 7,000, how would that affect the program?
That's a really good question. I think we just have less to offer the students. For us, it's not an operating cost. For us, it's not a salary, but it is directly going every cent to the students who will be gaining from it. So the more funds we have, more students we're able to support. Less funds, less we are able to support. And just as a little example in a case study, last summer, two of my own students were selected actually to go to an international festival in Italy. And it was pretty costly. They actually got scholarship from the organizations. Still, it wasn't enough. So they did their fundraising, individual, work to raise funds. So I think that's how everybody has been operating in like a individual basis. My goal is to supplement that effort, letting students to know not to give up without trying. I know that if I didn't cheerlead them on and really push them to try to make that work, they would have just said, "Oh, I can't make this to this festival. It's just too much." So even a little gesture from the university saying, 750 out of usually 2 to 3K that they have to save up to go to these festivals and presentations, I think will mean a lot for them, even though if it doesn't cover everything for them. I think it's also a good support that university is helping them out for their research and development. And what I've also known that from a faculty point of view, having our students go out there during summer is actually the best form of recruitment because when other students from other universities see how well our students are doing, they get to talk about Central. And then if they went to those places with the support of the university, I think that speaks a lot for the students and the students that they're impacting and our future students that may come here.
Any other questions?
I'm not gonna vote on this one, but I have a question.
Yeah.
So what we're voting on here today is not funding that is designed to bring new students in the spring, but that is designed to help students who are already in the program when it comes to springtime.
That's correct. Yes. Not new students, current students who have already at the end of their academic year to continue their research and creative expressions.
All right.
Mhm.
Well, with that, I want to thank your time, Erin. Thank you so much for that today. And I do believe we are finished with our new business items. Oh, wait, no, one more, advisors.
Thank you.
I have nothing.
Sound like we're good.
So the last request is actually related to the 3 reports that all of the funded areas have to return. The due date for those reports is December 1st. So that includes the prior year's financial report that is due to you all to review, so you can see how they used their money last year. Then they have the program review reports that are due that show you how they're using their money this year. Then they have the base funding request that will fund them for the next the years 2 through 4 of the current quadrennium. And so that's the sort of the future look. And those are all due on December 1st. With it being kind of late to get the committee together, and I had some technical issues with getting some of the reports out because we have cap plan update. So typically the month of December, they return the reports and Robbie and I will review them and make sure that there's everything's complete. And then it's ready for you to review when you come back from your break. What we're asking is to be able to extend that deadline for those areas to December 15th. What really that means from a committee perspective is that Robbie and I have a little less time to review all those things, which we are happy to do that in order to sort of extend that for these base funded areas to have a little bit more time to put their documents together, and especially with an additional base funding request that takes some time. So we would like to ask that of you all if you can consider that, and we can extend that to those areas.
So just to clarify, that would mean that during the winter break, we get emails from you guys with information and then we read it. That's it.
Actually, we are not gonna bother you during your winter break. You'll have them. It will all get provided to you when you come back from break, so for you guys, it doesn't really change anything, because if they were due December 1st, you would get the same communication when you came back. As you would, it's really just a, doing something for those areas, so that they can, sort of have a little bit more time. It's also tough because this year Thanksgiving holiday falls at the very end of the month, so really they need to have them kind of turned in before the holiday. So it's just trying to ask for that flexibility for those areas. It should have no impact on you all as committee members.
So we're just doing a vote to help.
Yeah, for sure.
And it costs $0.
Well, we will get to that vote. But first, for new business, we are going to go back up on our agenda and begin discussion on the approved funding, or the funding that we will approve or not this year.
Yes. It's probably not higher, so
Yeah, let's do a 5-minute recess, folks. Let's walk around. All right. Recess at 4:30 for 5 minutes.
I was thinking about doing another motion on that.
Yeah, but.
We're all gonna be on recess for 5 minutes.
That's
If it
why
works.
we already
I
have.
know, that's why I didn't use it.
But they also provide jobs there, and the idea also is that. It's for the people, and so they have their like. And then we have. That was.
I understand that supplemental is for things we don't affect, but we're planning.
I will
our
probably,
piece for. Like they know how much they're gonna work. It's not.
But I tend-
So I'm confused about.
I'll start, sorry. And I mean.
Gotcha.
Alrighty. We are going to be
already.
returning.
Thank you.
We are going to be returning from recess at 4:37. Alrighty. First discussion item on our new business to circle back. 2604, pulse reallocating supplemental funds. I open the floor for discussion. If anybody needs a refresher, happy to give that as well.
Would it help to pull up the presentation?
Yeah, that was all.
So for this part, for our discussion, it's not until the voting part that we do this.
We're discussing and then we're gonna do a motion and then vote.
So for now, what I got for the pulse is,
For reference, this first one is the reallocating the funds they already have.
right. I actually was going to suggest that the reallocation money for the deficit go to part of what they need for what they're asking for their let me pull this up. Because they're asking for $1,479 to go to the reallocation of the deficit. And they're asking for $4,000 for off-campus printing. But they sounded very confident in their ability to generate ad revenue with funding for print. So my suggestion was that the 147 that they're asking for be put towards the off-campus printing amount that they're also asking for, and that we ask them to make up their deficit.
So, just to kind of add to the conversation, you all can, fully fund a request. You can partially fund a request, and you can decide not to fund a request. So, just to clarify, you're saying, this is the first one.
I'm saying that I would like to, but my personal opinion is I'm in favor of approving the request for the printing needs, but we can save money on that approval by not approving the request for the reallocation.
Let's stick to the one.
Yeah, let's stick to the first one, so then when we
Like you're
get,
thinking that.
yeah, when we get to that second one, then that'll be its own.
Okay, we focus on
Decision,
one,
yeah.
even if they're asked by the same.
Yes, I
Two
think
separate
that,
requests.
and that'll probably make it also easier for me.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
Point of clarification, the reallocation of the funds, from my understanding, was for helping out the deficit of the printing costs. Is that correct?
It is, the reallocation was to cover the deficit that was accumulated last year from overspending last year. If they're here, yes.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Go to you.
That'll be nice.
Yes, yes, if they're here, and Robbie will probably hop into the chat if that's not right, but if they're here, you may ask them. They cannot come and participate in your conversation, but you may reach out and ask them.
Okay,
Yes.
cool.
Let's see if Robbie.
May I ask you quick?
And Alex has a question as well.
Yes, so you're asking whether or not that 1479 is going to the deficit coverage?
Yes,
That is
okay.
And I actually do need to clarify this. That 1479 is actually money that you guys already have, not money that you're asking.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, that's very good.
It's not online anymore, but, Alex, do you want to go ahead and ask your question or participate?
Yeah, I personally think that salaries and like students getting their paychecks is to me the most important thing. I mean, I've done
That's the next conversation topic.
sorry,
go on.
the printing thing. The printing thing is like we're talking about the printing production.
No, we're talking about the reallocation to cover their deficit from last year's.
Oh, okay, right.
Yes. After this, we'll be talking about the supplemental request with the printing and the wages.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, all right.
In that case, my suggestion is going to be to partially fund the printing request.
We're still on the first one.
Oh, is that not the one that they asked?
Yes, but we're just.
The allocation is the first one.
Reallocation the first one.
It's okay.
I did want to clarify is it possible to do the what Peru has suggested with the deficit, or is that something that is pressing and needs to be dealt with now as much as possible?
So I will defer to Aaron, but my understanding is that supplemental requests that are rewarded are reimbursed rather than given up front. So, and this supplemental request that we are asking for redistribution was approved for the purposes in row 1 across that table. And we are asking for it to, that 1479 to go to the deficit coverage because our deficit was larger than anticipated for last year. So that request was approved for that reason. But in terms of what your priorities are, I can't.
So, Vice Chair Sullivan, just to clarify, this request for reallocation is set in stone.
They've already paid.
This is to reallocate the money to pay it, as far as I'm aware.
So it's to reallocate the money to cover the deficit. That $917 in salaries is what we had used this year. And then that 3045 for the conference is what we had used.
So any changes to this reallocation request would have to come back to us again. And so,
okay.
Yeah, so there's no changing it as it is right now.
Got it.
Cool.
Thank you.
Righty.
I would like to just make my opinion known that I don't see an issue with allowing this reallocation. If we allow this to help contribute to the deficit, then this could also kind of hopefully hurdle the Pulse and the Observer into more. Sorry, losing the train of thought. Hopefully to help speed run the amount that they earn. So that's fine.
To clarify, this 1400 is not coming out of our 92K pot.
We already got it.
Got it. All right.
Well, in that case, we're just to get things moving. Do I have a motion on the floor?
Motion to approve.
To approve what?
To approve the funding, the reallocation request for Post magazine.
Second.
All righty. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 1. All right, it is approved. The reallocation request is approved with 501. Moving on to our second agenda item, the whole supplemental request. So this is where we would talk about the wages and the printing and everything else.
Sorry for my misunderstanding earlier.
No worries, it's our first meeting. It happens, it happens.
Social distancing one there.
Oh, right.
It's just one.
Yeah. Alrighty, so. Let's look back, this was the supplemental request of. 4,207. Alright, I open the floor for discussion.
I really want to approve this one, honestly. I'm not big on magazines at all. And flipping through this is. I understand what they were saying about the care that they put into the visual design. And I think anything that gets this many awards at such a high level for our school is good.
I respectfully disagree.
By all means.
I believe that any student media should be one of the best names primary values. Especially since they've talked about how much they have sacrificed in having a lot of employees kind of either opt out completely for getting paid or not be paid for the extra hours that they're mostly working. They've also cut the amount of the pages that they're using, so we're actually saving money. They're saving money, and we are also they're sticking to 1,000 copies per year, but it's less printing costs.
Sorry, it sounds like you're trying to. I already.
Did you agree?
Yeah, no, I already want to fund it.
I wonder if I heard something wrong.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, I said I fully want to fund this one.
Okay.
And then I thought I was explaining why.
Okay.
No, we're on the same thing.
I'd like to add to the conversation as well that one of the big changes that I noticed from last year to this year, that last year that was really the sticking point on the presentation, was that last year to get the paid positions that S&A was paying for, those students were required to be enrolled in a course credited class.
Mhm.
That was really the issue. And as they talked about in the presentation, that has been addressed. And so I think that that is really like kind of going back to like, how did we get to where we're at is an important part of context in these, and to really acknowledge and recognize those areas for hearing what the committee said, making an adjustment, and then coming back to present that. I think it's just important to acknowledge.
I think with this year, it is fair to acknowledge there was a fundamental issue with last year's student media and the connection, the inherent connection between that and the course material. However, like it says, that has been severed. They have put in the effort in order to separate these two areas, and I think that as the S&A committee, I think that is a problem. So, if there is discussion, can I get a motion on the floor? Oh. Do we have any discussion online?
All right.
Well, can I get a motion on the floor?
Motion to approve the Pulse magazine.
Alex, did you want to comment on this part now that we're talking about the printing?
Mine was more about the hours, but
I think this is,
This is Pulse Observer should be next.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Motion to approve Pulse magazine supplemental request for operating costs regarding off-campus printing in its entirety.
A second.
Righty, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All righty, I believe that is once again 501.
Alex, did you vote?
yes.
Thank you, sorry.
All righty. Moving on. We have the observer with their amount requested of $15,051.90. No, we have 9 minutes.
Oh, okay. This one goes together, yes? There are two things?
Yes, after this, I'm going to extend the meeting by another 20 minutes, probably not gonna be here for that long, but it's okay.
So, this one, I think we should approve the wages. And I'm not inclined to approve beyond
That's a great point, working.
Do you wanna think about it and we can
Yes.
discuss? Yeah.
So just if we want to apply funding for the salaries, but not the principal costs or anything.
Yes, the observer sounded confident that they can generate ad revenue and still provide what they're doing with provide their service to the students and do just fine with the digital one. With that being said, because this is just a lot to be putting out on the first meeting if we only have $92,000 for the whole year. It really, it's hard for me to agree to $15,000 for one group. That's gonna come back next semester. And if they, I'm hoping that if we're able to give them the wages for their hourly work for this, then they'll feel more capable of generating what they need for the off-campus print. But,
I like.
no,
Eric?
But they're also, well, they have the off-campus, but they also have the original listing of the printer. This one is
through.
so that's another one.
The in-house printer, my question about that is, how come they can't just print everything off that?
Wanna ask?
Yeah.
So, the off-campus printing, that's printing with an actual newspaper production company.
Oh, yeah.
We print with Matchy World, so that's why you have the quality of the paper. Our office printer is only capable of printing office quality. So like a West End poster or like the paper I handed you, it doesn't have the capability to print a newspaper like paper. The reason why we're asking for funding for the rentals and leases for our office printer is we're locked into a 2-year contract.
Then we have to approve that one.
And I think that currently they're using their base funding allocation to pay for that printer.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's something you have, right? It's not a new printer.
Right, no, we got this like last winter, it's like, so we're almost a full year in. So this 6 months would cover the end of the fiscal year, and then it's included in our base budget.
Reference we have 6 minutes.
I would like to say, I think the amount of the printing costs should be different. I think, if we do that and are able to push out papers, then, the observer funds likely to gain back the revenue made.
Okay.
And salaries.
Just to clarify, Griffin, the salaries for the requirement for observer class on 444 is not required anymore as well, correct?
And I would also like to point out, there's only 7 employees that are being paid for the observer, which I think is quite a small amount of staff to have in this place. And the hours are continuously being cut as well. So I would say the observer has made tremendous steps in order to save money both on our end and
I would also like to point out, due to savings, sorry, what was it? The salary savings, we will be getting another 4,000-ish every month, starting from this point into our supplemental budget. So we won't, not to push anything in any way. However, this budget, while small, if we allow it to grow, will get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Okay.
However, that won't be possible if we spend it all in the next 3 meetings.
Yeah.
So I want that to be known for the committee's sake of. There is other income coming into the supplemental budget, but not enough for the rest of campus.
Okay.
Alex, did you want to contribute to the conversation about the observer wages and printing?
Yeah, I personally think that printing, I'm in favor of not necessarily like not giving exactly everything, but definitely giving them enough to like print an okay amount. You know, I think printing, like obviously getting printing for every student possible is probably not achievable, especially as college campuses typically grow. But I think more anything, wages are more important. I think students should get paid for the work they do at all times. That to me is more important.
I got a response to that one. In many ways, being involved, the work itself in these spaces is beneficial to the student. The student benefits in their future from adding these things to their CV. So it's not as though nobody's going to do it if nobody gets paid. And they're also not putting in full-time hours. So I understand that people are doing work, but it's also the work that we do in these places is hardly comparable to actual professional work. I'm saying that as a person who actually spent 12 years outside of college before coming here.
I'm gonna interrupt the discussion for just a moment. I would suggest one of you makes a motion to extend the meeting by 15 minutes.
Motion to extend the meeting by 15 minutes.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Ready? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, all opposed? Okay, motion passes 5-1. All right.
I would hesitate. I feel the need to say that some degree of hesitation would do the whole committee well, because if we just go, the student wants to get paid, let's pay them, to every student that shows up, we're not going to have money.
I would like to share my opinion.
Yes.
I am with full agreement with Cordon. I believe student wages above everything. These students should be getting paid for the work.
Okay.
Even if the work is not comparable to the outside, this is still work that they're doing. As for the printing costs, I personally would say the S&A committee, as big of a hit as it would be, I think should try to fund some of it as a way to see how they do in the upcoming semester. If they manage to get their advertisements up by a certain margin, I think that would show there is growth opportunity where they do not have to keep coming back to the S&A committee for the same amount that they have been. I personally believe, as of right now, we are in the end of our fall quarter, going into winter, and then we'll have the rest of spring as well. Our supplemental budget is not a lot, right? Admittedly, there are a lot of places on campus that are going to be asking for money.
Right.
However, student media, Observer especially, I do believe is a keystone of the university.
Okay.
If we are to fund this, maybe not in its entirety, but to fund it to a certain point where they can function at a significantly smaller scale of amount of student wages, I think that might be beneficial in the long term to see how they do if they come back.
Okay. So what are you guys thinking about approving?
There's one person online. Cordon?
I completely agree with your statements. Are we going by exact titles, I guess?
No, you can just call me Alex.
All right, yeah, with your point, Alex, I think you really said that really well. I just kind of wanted to not necessarily like piggyback, but go back kind of saying, restating that, kind of addressing, I'm sorry, I missed your name. The
You can call me Bob.
Bob?
Bob.
Bot.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Um, well, the reason why I'm kind of a big harper about wages are more important thing is because there's a lot of programs, or not, I don't know if for a lot, but there is kind of a thing around all college campuses where, and even on this campus too, where not all the labor, some of the labor is free, and I'm a big believer that if maybe not necessarily all of it pay, but there's gotta be some sort of, you know, something to equate to that time, you use, because that's a big deal in my opinion. But
This is the other Alex, right?
Yeah, Alexander Cordell.
I'm
Yeah.
hearing you, Alex.
all right, awesome, thank you.
Right. Well,
So what do you guys think about approving, say like $3,000 for the off-campus printing then?
That emotion.
Well, I'm asking that question because the whole motion would be to approve this supplemental request minus that amount.
how's the discussion? So you would be discussing the 9,500 or so, plus the 3,000,
Yes.
plus the printing cost.
Because okay, I'm going off of this, but rentals and fees, it has it for any, because like the total of it right now is for 6 months. I don't it fully went off my thing, so but yeah, because rentals and fees, the amount total is for the next 6 months. It could be broken down a little more for just this next quarter for the rental. Little ones.
I hear what you're saying because the semester is not 6 months long. But
Do we have to give a set number for the amount we're funding? Okay. Let's make it.
you change, you gotta do
No,
that.
that's a great question, and I encourage any question, but yes, it has to be very specific so that then they know exactly what they're being approved to spend, and I know exactly. What to, remove from the supplemental budget. I'm gonna move over here because my computer just died, so.
But it's a,
Do you have a charter?
I'd like to clarify real quick. For the. Oh, you know what, I can't answer my question. Right now, the printing cost is with 700 copies every other week. Correct, for the next quarter, okay.
Oh.
Right there. Decrease the copies. I don't wanna,
Right, they've already decreased it. Sad, but.
I hear what you're saying about not trying to rush, and also making sure that salaries are the number one funded part of this request.
Y'all make great arguments for that.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out what.
Question for the observer.
Yes.
If you were to cut copies again, would that significantly increase costs because of packages or whatnot, or?
So we are at the lowest we're able to print. The lowest one actually World allows is 700 copies at 12 pages.
Are there other vendors?
We have looked into Abbott's. I forget entirely what the conversation was. It was kind of a little bit above me, but from my recollection is that Abbott's didn't have the same kind of format that Wenatchee World offers in terms of the type of paper and the formatting of the newspaper. And I don't think there was too much of a difference in cost.
Woo! How did you find it?
I wish Jen was here because she was actually part of that conversation, but I don't know what this is.
I'm done with everything that I need to discuss about this one.
So you also can table this one as well, if you all don't feel like you are ready or have the information that you need to make the decision, you can also table it.
The issue is, I think we have the information here. I think they've given us as much information as we can get. I want to get this done today. I want them to have an answer definitively of what they're going to get today.
If we give them this 15,000 and somebody comes in within the next 2 months asking for 10 to 15K, it's gonna be a lot harder to get them half.
I'm that I didn't think I'm not correct. Okay, and so going back to the rental leases, I don't fully feel like we need to do like let's say the 6 months, and these 2 minutes for it for the next 3. But
They would have to come back and ask for the rest anyway.
That would also only decrease the request by like.
it would go to 2 things.
I'm inclined to go with this. I just want to be more careful later.
That's fair.
I think that is a fair sentiment to have. I think it's something that the observer can understand of, this is not a, if this is pushed forward, this is kind of a, here it is, do what you will with it, and then next semester, we might not be as generous with the allocations.
There's no guarantee that we can be,
There's
that
no-
we can do this next semester.
There's no guarantee we'll have them next semester. But if there's no more discussion, I will open up the floor for any motions.
I would like to move to approve the grand total budget of $14,856 for the observer. Accept the observer request.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Alrighty, motion passes 5-0-1 in the resolution. Great. Thank you for coming up.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Well,
These last ones that you hear.
moving on to CWU, aka the 1.1 the bird, and there's 6,101.
I think we gotta get them in the battery again.
How much was their values again?
5,000. 5,000 for the batteries.
There's, thank you so much.
So is this a one request and then another request, or is this also 2 in 1 request?
This is the same one.
Next to one.
I think you can do it.
I mean, it feels like it's very important, especially with
Plus mine.
Yeah. And after this, we will be. What was it?
It's just the hour.
It's just the. Is it just KS?
And OUR.
Oh, you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my request.
I
To
will,
extend it at my.
yeah, I will say real quick, we're gonna extend the deadline again by another 15 minutes. So we will go until 5:30 now.
Roger.
And then we'll vote on it.
Yes, can I get a motion on the floor?
Motion to extend the meeting by another 15 minutes till 5:30.
Okay, all right, all in favor?
I.
All opposed? Okay. Passes. Alrighty. Batteries and their equipment.
So it sounded like they only need $1,000 for the actual piece of equipment that they have to have to stay at CC.
Okay, it's the testing is one cost, and then it's in that money, it's broken down into all that. So like the actual device itself is about that much, and then everything else that goes into it is.
Okay.
And just to clarify, they said that the batteries that they were talking about have already reached that 3-year deadline.
They said that almost half of what they got sounds like it's over by it's pushing it, we're pushing it.
Question for Aaron. I do know, and I'm just putting this out there. It was said before that reserves were specifically for emergency situations that could not be handled by supplemental normally. However, you also did say that it had to meet a certain threshold.
So in order to really tap into your reserves, as it would be a capital expenditure or something majorly catastrophic that. And if something like this would not count as a capital expenditure because it is not, it does not meet the threshold.
But if we didn't fund this and something went wrong, that emergency money that would be needed would come out of the reserve.
Depending on what got tried, yeah, it potentially could, but I think that. I think that that's sort of, you know, part of the discussion, right? Is like, would we rather invest in the security of the equipment, or would we rather gamble and have some, you know,
Something.
but yes.
Be responsible for losing student data.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, if it fried, like, I don't know the equipment down there, but some, you know, major thing like a whatever it.
Well, Base asked for 2 spares for each one of those, right? We could save almost $1,000 by giving them what they need without the
So
spares
it's,
for now.
yeah, it's 14 units including spares.
Including spares, which are $136.07. So let's.
I can do the math.
Yeah, we'll figure.
So that's 16 small. Oh no, that's each.
274.
Did they say like what each battery goes to?
I think from what I understood is it's kind of a battery. Like a.
So pretty much, it's kind of like with this whole building, this is part, that's the only thing that's still there. Because it helps them like connect to other stations or send out news, and also keeps a lot of media safe. Their computers are technically both of them to the
$909.02.
So if we did that plus the smalls and the bigs, if I just cut both of those in half, plus the estimated tax, which would probably decrease, but it comes out to around 2,723.14.
Okay.
If you cut both of those numbers in half of the smalls and the bigs.
That was what my thought process was, is like, I don't know exactly what the batteries, why they need the amount that they have at the moment.
We can table, if that's important information, if that's something important, then we can table this and find out.
Motion to
Yeah,
this.
good,
Can I ask?
sure.
So the current batteries that they have are 50 year,
Oh,
all of them, and they have.
That's all of them.
And they don't have any spares. So that's what the spares deployed.
That's why they need to.
And typically you should be rotating these batteries out in your cycle, is what Tommy stated. So it seems like pretty critical component to their operations.
And it's also very much a safety operation with what they weren't doing. It's also like we had a giant flood down here.
Yeah.
Talking against myself here, but it is forecasted that this winter in particular is going to be very bad. It's going to be very, very bad this year.
The other
We
part
definitely want them to have batteries.
with the one high value item, the piece of the testing equipment, they can't operate that without the rest of the equipment. So if you approve just the one item, they still can't use that. Yeah.
Thank you for that information. We clearly don't know enough about what's happening on the radio side.
That's why it's always really nice, and you know, Ruben oversees that area. It's just really nice to have the people here to be able to add that context.
All right. I'm gonna motion to approve the whole thing. It sounds critical. Next few meetings are gonna be hard though.
Well, you never know what's gonna happen with the supplemental budget, what we have, you know, there's. People leave their jobs and stuff all the time and move around, and so, you know, I'm pretty good at finding these little pockets of money, so, yeah.
That extra money be coming into effect by our next meeting? Like for the savings?
I'll update this, every meeting.
Okay.
Yeah. And so just keeping in mind with salary savings, the way we have it in the policy is that it is for every month.
Yeah, so like after this month, we're going into our December meeting.
Yeah, I
Will it be-
pulled
will we have another 5,000?
October.
Cool, so we'll have
That's
another.
every month. I heard that wrong earlier. That puts me at much more.
So if that does happen in our next December meeting and that goes back into the supplemental pot, at least one of these is completely covered. So,
I expect that there will be at least another, I'm gonna guess 50,000.
okay. Okay. So, so as,
That's not I mean, I know it's
It's
a
a-
public meeting and you
it's
guys
a
gonna
if.
put it in the minute.
I will just say,
Or
Yeah,
don't.
I just did.
Okay, yeah, that's not a guarantee.
but if we do approve this 6,800, next meeting, we would have spent around 20,000-ish, 23,000-ish of the pot currently. So that brings us down to around 65, 68 right now. If this is approved in full. Not counting all OUR next.
They put out emergency broadcasts. And they go in almost twice so that they should be.
This is in my mind right now, looking at it, cause like all the small stuff.
Yeah.
Is. It might have slipped. I was like, I think if anything for like the testing gear for the SEC, give them enough, so I think to get the two bigger items out of it.
So if we.
I don't know how much.
If we just paid for the 999 and the 500, and then maybe the 180.
The 180 is the tax and
Okay.
shipping.
Yeah,
So-
kind of have to.
I'll just put that in.
Yeah.
That would be 1,600. So if you're saving $200.
Hey, it's still something.
So something, and everything else is pretty much in the range of.
I don't wanna be saying about $100.
And it wouldn't be asking them to cover much.
It'd be saving about $100, which. If we wanna save, it is doable. I will just say this as my final bit of thing. I do think we should approve the majority of it simply because of the emergency use of it. That's my only.
I'm inclined to agree as well.
I would like to, like you mentioned,
Yeah, we're waiting for somebody to get comfortable enough to get.
Are you one?
are we allowed to mention the following? Thing that we need to approve in like our discussion now.
I think we should, I think
Let's
it's
wait.
best to
Okay.
stick with one at a
Yeah.
time.
Let's wait for it, then we'll get to it.
And I second the motion.
Oh, I didn't make a motion yet. Are we gonna make one? Yeah, I make a motion to approve,
This would be for if we cut the smaller appliances down.
Mhm.
It would be for 6,710 weighing. So
all
it'd
right,
be-
that's what we'll do then.
Yeah.
I make a motion to approve the KCWU funding in the amount of $6,710.
Second.
All in favor? Please say it.
Aye.
All right, all opposed?
I said aye.
Okay. All righty, motion passes, 501.
Motion.
Yeah.
Anyone?
Yeah.
All righty, moving on to our second to last piece on the agenda, OUR funding for spring quarter. 7,000.
I'd like to open up by saying I think that OUR is very valuable.
Yeah.
However, with how much we have already allocated today, I think I am proposing us cutting it down to 5,000 for the awards.
I'm gonna opt out of this one because I regularly pursue funding for research and I'm probably gonna ask them for my.
No. Sounds good. Edge. And then choose to that.
Just hold on.
Others?
I still think 5,000 is a good amount.
Because, yeah, cause it's 5,000, it's if you take the 5,000, cause it's, that's, that amount too, so.
it depends on how much too, it's the people that apply for it as well. So like.
And they have funding for awards already
Yeah.
that you all please funded.
Yeah, I want this to also be known, these, like Aaron says, supplemental funding is not base funding. We will be deciding that later down the line, where we will be deciding the funding for the next 3 years in onwards. So. Yeah.
And if you all were, I mean, there's nothing, even if you were to say no to something now, there's no reason that they can't come back.
No. I would also like to say the same. OUR is an incredible program. I know many people who have been influenced by OUR. However, it is okay for this committee to say no at this point in time. Simply because if we do feel like we have spent too much, it is okay to say no.
Because I mean, especially if they're asking now, asking for like the spring, they could also just come back and.
I agree.
There's no more discussion. Open for the motions.
What's the question? To find,
Well, you make a motion.
I'm open to reject.
reject, okay. I move to reject. We are.
Second, I second. Okay, all in favor?
I
All opposed? All abstain?
Aye.
Aye. 2 abstentions, 3 abstentions, 3 approved. So I believe it goes to a tiebreaker. Wait, no, it doesn't.
I don't think it does because the abstentions.
They don't have it. So it's just 3. Okay, motion passes 3-0-3. Finally, last thing on our agenda, do we wanna, sorry, I should be more professional about this.
We don't care. It's
All right, do we wanna extend the thing to December 15th?
Yes.
I get a motion for that.
Motion to extend the deadline for the groups to turn in their financial plans to Aaron by 2 weeks.
So it's gonna be the annual report, the financial review and the the annual base funding report, the financial review and the program.
Can I get a second?
I second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Perfect, all right, motion passes.
Okay. Public comment.
Any public comment?
I'd like to make a public comment. I just would like to publicly acknowledge you all on your first meeting of doing business. I think you all did a really great job and I really appreciated the way that you worked together and talked together. So good job.
Good job, guys.
Bye.
I would also like to publicly comment. This has been a good meeting. However, I did want it to be on the record. I have put in my notice at the university. I will be at the next S&A meeting, but I will not be returning in the winter quarter. There will be someone else to take the S&A minutes.
Thank you for what you did here with this school. I would not be in the public policy program if I hadn't have run into you. And that means I would not be doing my McNair research. So thank you.
So sweet.
You make a difference.
I'd like to think that you say your policy.
By all means.
That's my major.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Well, you guys are free.
Okay,
Oh,
thank you.
wait, wait,
Yeah, a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Sure.
Okay, I adjourn the meeting at 5:25. It's free now, all right.
Hey,
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
You're good.
meeting,
Just like.
I need to meet with you.